Away, welcome to Playing the Bounce. I hope you're lekker. I'm very excited because we all know the deal. Life and rugby go hand in hand. We can never predict it, but how you respond to the situation, how you play the bounce will determine the outcome. And today's guest is all about playing the bounce. I love his story. I love the way in which he's grown from strength to strength. It's Irish born, Italian international, Ian McKinley. And of course, joining me is my homeboy, the stats man, the man who wants to chat the nitty gritty and all the details about the game, Benedict. Let's get into it.
Right. Yeah, you played for.
Okay.
You grew up in Ireland. You played Ireland 20s. You're part of the Leinster system. How was that? I mean, Leinster is one of the greatest teams in Europe.
Yeah, so I was fortunate enough to get there, I think, when Leinster were starting to become a real force. So when I went straight from school into the system, there was Michael Cheika was the coach, who's coaching Argentina at the moment and coaches Lebanon in the rugby league as well, which is sort of interesting how he balances that. So I was really fortunate just to be there at a time when Leinster were starting to win Heineken Cups, and that was your homegrown province. So it was wonderful to be able to play for the province and play with you're playing with players like Contaponi and Brian O'Driscoll and all these Rocky Elsom, all these famous players. So to go from school straight into that was certainly pretty challenging, but it was amazing to learn from them.
Ian, before we go anywhere with the technicalities with Benedict, I want to know if we've done well for you. We try to make our guests feel as comfortable as possible. You've got a fantastic beard, usually quality hairstyle. I try to grow my moustache and my beard and my hair, but I'm balding. Does this at least help to make you feel a bit comfortable? How did I do?
I'm gonna have to give you the 50 quid for saying that, so I'll give it to you later.
Thank you, good man. And then what was it like being in the Italian team with an Irish accent? Surely there must have been a couple of guys going, what's happening over here? I'm a bit confused.
Yeah, so obviously my name Ian McKinley is not very Italian, so my mates, whenever I moved over there, would have called me Janno Mancinelli just to make me feel a bit more Italian. But no, there was I picked up Italian when I moved over there when I was 22, and it took me about a year to learn it.
You've done well. A for effort, brother. I'll give back that 50 quid. You've done great.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, you spoke about moving to Italy, and obviously there are a couple of events that transpired for you to sort of have to move to Italy. Do you want to walk us through almost like the remarkable story and challenge of injuring your eye, what happened, and then having to not be able to play rugby in Ireland, but getting a second chance in Italy?
I was going up the ranks with Leinster and Ireland, played with the Irish under-20s at a World Cup in 2009, and sort of my life turned around on the rugby pitch when during a game a teammate just stood on my face, completely accidental, and his stud, so little piece of metal, just went into my made contact with my eyeball and burst my eyeball. So that was kind of a strange, horrific injury, to be honest, and needed emergency surgery to save the eye first and foremost. Thankfully, I got back playing 6 months in anticipation, so 6 months earlier than what the doctors thought, and that would have been back with Leinster and all that sort of stuff. And then further complications developed where I developed a cataract, which required more operations. And then the worst case scenario for anyone that knows anything about eyes, your retina is your most important part in terms of giving you vision. And that unfortunately had a big tear in it, and that couldn't be repaired. So ultimately I retired age 21 with no vision in my left eye. There was always sort of a burning sensation though that, I wanted to still play rugby. This was the thing that I felt I was put on this earth to do, really. And at 21, it was too young to retire. So I had a good old chat with my brother and a good cry to my brother, looking for help, essentially. And ultimately, rugby goggles, so rugby eye protection, became available, and I picked up a pair in 2014. Because I'd lived in Italy and played in Italy for 3 years or more, I became eligible for Italy and became the first ever goggle-wearing player to play through the various competitions in Europe with my clubs, and then ultimately international level.
Those goggles were a cool fashion statement as well. I'm not gonna lie. Like you were ahead of the curve in terms of setting the trend there. But what was it like here, and just being in a different space now? Unfortunately, not having vision in one eye, but now being back on the park, navigating this change, and you're going, I've got goggles and I'm here to stay because I'm still passionate about the game.
I think you're being generous in terms of their fashion statement. They're probably not the coolest thing in the world. I got slagged a lot for them, both on and off the pitch. You look like a 1940s pilot, or you look like someone that's going on the ski slopes, or all that sort of thing. But I didn't care, because it was the thing that protected my good eye, and that was the most important thing to me, was that you were able to perform in safety, and I didn't want to risk anything happening to my other eye. So every time I played a game, whether it was in sunshine or rain or whatever, I learned something new about them. Obviously, when you play against the Springboks and you've got someone like Etzebeth or Vermeulen running at you, it can be quite tricky. But thankfully, maybe that's why you've got your forwards that can tackle them for you.
So, I mean, that's a remarkable story. And you then played for Italy for 9 games, I think.
Yep.
Missed out on the World Cup. And that's another setback. But you still had this redemption story of coming back and still playing rugby. Walk us through where Italian rugby is going. I mean, from when you started. I mean, your remarkable story. Do you think Italian rugby can ever rise? I mean, they've got a great crop of youngsters now. I'm trying to link this redemption story and trying to see if your positive outlook also extends to the country that you played international rugby for.
It's really difficult, because Italy just falls in between. It just falls in between the two categories, I think. And obviously, I've been part of Six Nations games where, defeats and close defeats and maybe larger defeats. And it's obviously not a nice place to be, because we're all there to try and win. And, you don't aim to go out against South Africa and lose, of course not. But there obviously is a difference in terms of structure and players and all that sort of thing. But I've seen, in the time that I've been there and the time now that I've left, which has been a couple of years, I've seen enough that gives me hope, definitely, for the future. It's just about a structural thing. There's certainly good enough players, which gives me hope. But the problem is international rugby is a results-based business. I can see your Stormers jersey. If you're a Stormers fan, if you're a Sharks fan, you want to win. There's not much time for development. You need to get. It is a results-based business.
I'm really enjoying your thoughts over here, Ian. Before we get stuck into more of the rugby detail, you speak about the business of rugby, and I see that you've ventured into another business space. You've been quite busy with your book launch and with interviews all over the show. I've really been enjoying seeing the other side of things. Second Sight, please tell us more. What was the process like? What was it like putting pen to paper and just articulating your thoughts about your rugby career and where you are now in your first book?
I've been about a year of note-taking, a year of correspondence between myself and the ghostwriter who helped me with it, a guy named Jerry Thornley, who would be a very high prolific rugby writer here in Ireland. So firstly, it was very therapeutic, and I think the main reason the main reason for starting the project was just getting your story out there, and I hope it gives hope to other people, especially the last couple of years that everyone's had to endure. But even if you do have a setback, just to persevere and keep going and try and leave no stone unturned. And the other part of it is just making sure that you've got good people around you. If people do pick up a copy, I would hope that they understand that yes, there are rugby elements, and it is a rugby story as well. But there is a big theme of, trying to overcome obstacles and adversity in life.
I love that. Give us what was your favorite chapter that you sat down with and looked back after and went, wow, this is juice. This is stuff that people would not know unless I officially disclose it the way I did over here.
Yeah, probably the last chapter, which sort of sums up everything in a whole. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean if you read that chapter that explains everything about the book. I don't want people cheating.
Yeah,
but it sort of sums up everything in one chapter.
I'm going to ask you a very contentious question now.
Yeah.
The Six Nations, relegation or no relegation? Italy versus Georgia. What are your thoughts on that? Do we expand? Do we cut?
Yeah, I think it's definitely an interesting question. Everyone asks me it. So even the TV work I've done in Ireland, people are pushing that question a lot to me. I can understand. I can certainly understand the argument for it. Potentially, it would make things more exciting. I just really hope, considering the last victory against Wales, and I know that's a long, long time ago, but that propels some sort of momentum. Now, I know I'm repeating myself, but that's a long, long time ago.
Ian, in wrapping up, I need you to teach us two slang words, please. This is very important because it's all about rugby, language, and culture. So your favorite Italian slang word that you learned while you were playing there, an Irish one, and we'll give you a South African one.
There was a phrase, and I use this in the book, but there was a phrase at a club in Italy that they would always use, which was mai mular, which is two separate words, and that just meant never give up. And I just sort of always liked that. Phrase, and I thought that was quite close to my story. And then in Irish, well, you would always say whenever having a drink, sláinte.
Sláinte.
So sláinte, yes.
There we go.
I like it.
Yeah, as like a cheers.
I like it.
So,
I like it.
Benedict,
Ian,
we're gonna say sláinte to Ian for joining us today. Brother,
100%.
thanks so much for your time.
For
all the
your
best
time.
with everything. Good luck with all the off-field magic, and keep inspiring. Keep making sure that you tell your story and just showing the world that all things are possible.
Appreciate it. Thanks for your time, guys.
Thank you so much, Ian. Cheers.
Lekker.
Lekker.
Leafy.
Lekker. There we go. Thanks so much for hanging out with us once again. Just like in the game of rugby, you too can get better at playing the bounce in life. How? It's simple. We call it the change science, and you can learn all about it over here. Yeah, from my fingers. In the change exchange. Over here. Down here. Down there. If I point any further, I'm going to be in the change exchange, where I'll see you. Away.